Good morning, everyone. Those of you who don't know me, my name's Evan, and my wife Lindsay and I pastor the church here at the Coastlands, and we're just so delighted to welcome all of our guests this morning and be together with our church family. It's going to be a really, really wonderful morning. A little bit later on, we're going to get to hear from the kids. They're going to be coming in and filling in the aisleways and in the front, and they're going to sing some songs for us, give us a little bit of the taste of the volume level and the hand gestures level of the songs they were singing throughout the week, which will be really, really fun to see. We also have a slideshow prepared with some pictures and various scenes throughout the week to give you even more of a taste. I was talking with Ivan before service, and he was talking with a parent, and the parent was like, hey, thanks for letting us come and check out the week a little bit during our open house, because when my kid comes home and they start describing the things that they were doing, it's a little bit hard to figure out exactly, like, what is it that you did today? And my wife and I, we have twin 6-year-olds and a 3-year-old, and I can tell you, when they come home from school or something like that, so what'd you do today? You know, it's like, I believe about 65% of it, and then, 35% is just sounds a little dubious, or I can't quite figure out exactly what it is that you did. So coming and seeing it, seeing the slideshow, I think will be really wonderful. Before we get into all of that, though, we also have a couple of people who are going to get up here and share with all of us something that we call a testimony. It's a really fancy word, basically, for talking about something that God did either in their life or in the life of someone around them. And the reason why we really like doing that after the week of VBS is because our heart as a church is we want to ourselves get to know God more. And also, we want everyone that we know to know more about this God that we know. Because what we believe fundamentally is that God is this God who wants to be in a relationship with us. And whether you are just coming to know something about God or you've known God for a long time, there's still more and more that we get to discover about him. Like I was thinking about my wife, and though we've been married for many years now, and I've known her for even more years than that, there are still things today that I'm learning about her. And that's what this epic life in God is like. You get to know things about this good, loving, powerful God more and more as the years roll along. So this time for testimonies is a time, for these people to get up here and talk about the things that God has done in their life, but it's also a time for us to consider what these things that they're describing mean for this God that did them. There's this phrase in the Bible, it's half of our VBS theme. I do like just clean wonder. I love the theme. But the phrase in the Bible is actually signs and wonders. Signs and wonders. And those two things often go together with God. And I want to explain to you why for just a second. A wonder is something that is supposed to make you wonder. That's kind of how that's how that works. That's how that's designed. It's supposed to make you kind of stop and, oh, that's odd. That's a little bit out of the ordinary. That didn't seem like it was there before. That didn't seem like it fits with the rest of the context of the background. Something to get your attention. But the reason why wonders are supposed to go along with signs is because God's interest isn't just in being kind of like a wonder vending machine. Ooh, I want this. And then something awesome happens, and you're like, wow, that was cool, and then move on with my day. Because God's goal is to get in relationship with all of us. That's what he wants. That's his interest. The problem is that there's a lot of misinformation floating around about God. I don't know if you've noticed this. There's a lot of things of people say, oh, I know what God is like. He's like this. Oh, I know what God is like. He's like that. And so imagine it from God's perspective. There's all these lies, actually, about who he is and what he's interested in. And so he's working to try to combat those mistruths, half-truths about who he is, and really communicate the ultimate truth is that at the end of the day, he's just a God of love. He loves you, he loves me, and he wants to know us more. That's what's true. So he designs all of these amazing encounters that we have in our lives that are wonders to make us go, get our attention. But then there's the signs component to it. The signs, it's not necessarily a sign of what. It's supposed to be a sign to what? Where is the sign pointing? What does this wonder, where is this pointing me toward in my understanding of who God is? So that's our goal with all of VBS, that we can provide a wonderful experience to the kids, but a sign to them so that they can understand that there's this God that loves them for the rest of their lives. He knows them. He created them. He likes them. He wants to be their friend. He wants to be with them. That's the God that we want to teach the kids about. So we come up with all these wacky things, climbing walls and color and people who wear wacky things on stage and all these things that's going to appeal to every single kind of kid that we can think of, because our goal is to try to help the kids understand that there's this God that loves them. That's the sign. What is the sign? So this morning, as we hear these testimonies, as we see the kids come and sing and we see the slideshow, I just want to invite you to do a little bit of thinking this morning. I know some of you are like, whoa, this is a church. I didn't think we did that in church. I didn't think church was the place to use your brain. I thought you turned that off when you come in the doors. But that's just not the kind of church we have. We are a thinking church. So I want to invite you to think. I want to invite you to consider. What is the sign that these wonderful things are pointing you toward? Maybe you saw something in your child or your grandchild that's just like, wow, that really stands apart. It stands out as different. Well, the one who accomplished that thing in them, the one that actually made that change, it gives you a sign towards what that being is like, and his name is God. So, well, I'm going to invite up the first person to give a testimony, and that is Ivan Ortiz. Would you welcome him up here, Ivan? Take it away.
Good morning, VBS. That was one of the fun things that I got to say a lot this week. It really was an amazing week. It was a great week. I was only able to be here in the mornings, Monday through Thursday. Friday, I got to be here all day. That was great. But even in those short, brief times, I felt like there was so much packed in with what God did, what he said, what he spoke. And one of the things that I was reminded of, or really kind of just rediscovered this week, was that God makes up the difference. And that was a very, very tangible and actionable output of what I saw as God's grace. And the way that I saw that happen was I got an invitation from Josh and from Drew originally to co-MC with Josh. And that was really just to be out there in between each of the scene changes or the skit changes, and then even more so to talk to the kids about what we just finished seeing and why it's so important, and tying it into principles that come out of the Bible and what we're about. And there was one particular day that Josh and I were about to go out to start the day off, or no, I think it was my teaching moment, and I was trying to, Josh is over here putting his notes together for what he's about to, say, or the thoughts, or just little reminders for himself, and I'm over here like waiting, like, okay, Josh, what's my cue? What are we going to say? What's the transition? What's the magic, sign or whatever? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, no, Josh, really, and so it was an immediate turn back up to God, and okay, God, Josh isn't helping me out, so I need you to help me out. And I don't know if that was just, I think that's, Josh was great, don't get me wrong. But what it really helped me to do was to come back and depend on God and see how he's going to make up the difference for the areas that I lack in. Okay, so what I was prepared to go out and share, which I'm so glad I didn't, it was like some random example or illustration using like, I don't know, a rooster and a fire extinguisher or something just completely random. And instead, we got to use this really great illustration, a visual of a verse, the representation of a verse that's in the Bible where it says that God takes our sin, with the kids, you want to speak their language, so all of our ugly stuff, our yucky stuff, and he tosses it into the deepest part of the ocean. So we had the kids do that for just a brief moment. It was so cool, so powerful to see them all kind of do it. We had to point them into the direction of the ocean, and a point of reference was like, okay, where's north? And everybody was like, this, that, this way. Where's the snack bar? Everybody was like, okay, it's that. All right, opposite snack bar. Where's the ocean? Let's aim that way. And I came off the stage thinking, I was not even going to say that. I had no idea. God, that was totally you. That was totally you. And I've seen this before when it comes to Scripture. And a verse that came to mind was 2 Corinthians 12:9, where he says, my grace is sufficient. And there are so many areas, beyond just VBS that I need that. I only have up to here in terms of resources, my time, my energy, my financial resources. I only have this much. I can't is the easy kind of response or answer that I can give, and just really that conclusion. And God says, no, trust me. And where you're lacking, that extra, 20% that you're lacking, sometimes 50, sometimes 100, that I can't go all the way out. I really see that. And I've seen that a couple of other examples just real quickly in Scripture. I picture Moses when he's at the Red Sea and he's leading thousands, tens of thousands of people, freely released slaves and into freedom. And there's an army at his back. And there's an ocean in front of him, or at least what looks like an ocean, right? And then God makes a way. He splits that Red Sea. Another thought that came to mind was this story that we've heard of, or perhaps you're hearing the first time today, of this wayward son who goes off and he spends all of his fortune and his inheritance. And then he has the wisdom and really the awakening to come back home. And he's off at a distance. The Scripture says he's off at a distance. And then the father sees him and he runs to him. And so that difference, I put myself in those shoes. Man, I'd be at the fence of that property just like, I don't even know if I'm going to be accepted or not. And the father sees him and starts running to him. And I feel like that was such a big reminder about God's grace coming in and making up that difference that I didn't have. The invitation that originally came from Josh and from Drew, as much as I love them, that invitation really came from God. And it was in a time where even just, I think Pastor Daniel Brown, our founding pastor, shared this a couple weeks ago about that story where Jesus says to Peter, I know you've been fishing all night, I know, but just try it this other way. Try, throw your nets on the other side of the boat. And Peter hesitates. And I feel like there's a moment where he says, because it's you, God, that's giving me that invitation. Okay. And I felt like that the affirmation of knowing where that invitation is coming from and who it's coming from, it really makes it so much easier to say, okay, all right, let's do this. Let's get out. Let's step out on that stage without knowing what we're going to say, but knowing, God, that you're going to make up the difference because it's you that's making that invitation. So it was great. I mean, there's so many more stories to share. So if I get a chance, I'd love to share with you more at any other time. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Well, what I learned is that Josh is great, but God is better. That's what I learned. one of the things that we believe, and it's just this like fundamental core thing that we believe about God, is that he uses his power on our behalf, not against us, not to tear us down, not to make us feel bad, not to, I don't know, rub our faces in the mud, so to speak. But he uses his power to do us good. He is a good God, and all the things he does are good. It's what we've experienced, and it's what we believe. And it's just another great example of how God uses his great power to overcome the things that we can't overcome. And I mean, can you understand how that's a wonder? It's like, how did that happen? How was it that, because I knew that I couldn't do this thing, and yet somehow it happened. That's what points us back to God using his power on our behalf. So, all right, our next testimony is Anna Beal. Anna. Oh, Anna. Hi. Take it away.
Hi, my name is Anna. I was on the assembly team this year. It was my first time. I was on the worship team. It was really awesome. And my VBS week overall was amazing and fun, and I really learned a lot of things about God. But what really stood out to me was that if I put my faith and trust in him, that he will cover me and take care of me. So I woke up Wednesday morning and my leg was in like a lot of pain. It was hurting really bad. And I was worried because like we had these worship songs that were really bouncy and jumpy, and I was told to go all out when I was doing these, and and I was like really scared. I'm like, oh no, am I gonna present something like good enough to the kids and that? And then I was backstage. We were gonna go on stage soon, and Ivan Ortiz asked me how I was doing, and I told him that like my leg was in a lot of pain and that I was really scared. And he told me that like his example of when he doesn't know how like what to say when he's doing MC, and he told me that if I really trust God when I go out onto stage, he will take care of my need and he will cover me. So then I prayed with my friend Lucy, and before I went on stage, I put my full trust in God and told him that I know he's got me. And then out on stage, I felt no pain in my leg, and I was able to jump around as much as I wanted. And it was really awesome. And I felt like God really wanted me to know that, and he speaks to us in different ways, whether it's through people or through scriptures, and he spoke to me through Ivan. I really felt that, and he can really do amazing things when we put our faith and our trust in him.
Emily Ben-Schoder, she was a director of Junior VBS. Emily, come on up here. Emily and her husband were directing our Junior VBS, or as you called them, the Juniors, I believe.
Junior Wonders.
The Junior Wonders. Okay, take it away, Emily.
The official name, Junior Wonders. VBS, you guys, it is just a week of pure joy. And there is so much planning and thinking and praying and dreaming that goes into it, months and months and months of it. And then this week comes and you're like, oh man, it's over already? But I think Evan already gave my testimony, but it's really like this beautiful outpouring of love. We love these kids, and it's, I think one of my first VBSs here, Evan was describing it as kind of a peek into how God kind of prepares something for us. And we're those kids, and we show up and we're like, what, there's a bounce house? Oh, and the candy, and there's like all sorts of fun things, and I'm eating ice cream out of a trough. And, you know, as a director this year, it was really great because I got to just stand back and just really observe those hearts, those little faces, and see their joy. And juniors are 100% wonder. Like, I kept telling my husband, like, you don't have to worry about this. The bar is low. They are like bounce house, and trip to the snack shack. Like, we're sold. And so, but to see them really, I think it's always Thursday. It's always the day where, we invite the kids onto stage to ask Jesus into their heart. And I was sitting next to one of our newest wonders. She was 3, and she's just sitting there kind of staring, and I said, do you want to go up on stage and ask Jesus into your heart? And she was like, oh, yeah. So I took her up there, and she saw her mom, and she went running to her mom, and they just held each other and prayed. And then I checked in with her later, and I was like, do you know what you did up there? And she's like, God's in my heart. And I was like, okay, well then mission accomplished. And that it's as simple as that. And it was just, everything we did there was really just an outpouring of our love for those kids, and just a great reflection of God's love for us and how he stands back and just takes pure delight in our excitement and wonder. And the verse, see, I have my journal of wonder that was lovingly handcrafted. Thank you, Dave Albert, because it has the verse in here. Handy. But the verse this year was, look among the nations, observe, be astonished, wonder, because I'm doing something in your days you would not believe if you were told. And I think that was really just 100% what this week was about. And it was taking time to stop and just look and observe and be astonished at all the things God did this week. And I think when you see the slideshow and you see their faces, make sure you grab some tissue if you're like me, because you'll be like crying happy tears. But it's that song, that they sang this week, like just about living this is how we're living now. And it's going to be really hard to go back to work on Monday, because I liked living like this. But okay, that's it.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, love is a really, it's very interesting, incredibly powerful, can't really be quantified, can't really be studied in the way you can study electrons, trust me. I'm a scientist for my day job, that's what I do. But it's this thing that we all long for. And it's interesting to see how the kids start responding to that outpouring of love. Not totally sure maybe in the beginning, but then like sponges soaking up, because it's so good and right. It's so right. It's the way that it's supposed to be. And sometimes, I don't know, I was just thinking when Emily was talking, like, man, God, have I become so like crickety crackety stony that it's hard for you to capture my attention with your love? And sometimes I just wonder if growing up is like not such a great thing, how quickly kids can catch on to things like that, and it just takes me a little bit longer. So I wonder how much harder God has to work to capture the attention of adults than he does with kids. But it doesn't have to be like that. I want to be open to God capturing my attention with his love, the way that those team leaders and directors captured the attention of the VBS kids with their love. All right. Well, the next person that we have is Joshua Lance from Switzerland. Now, Josh is here with a team from Switzerland. And if you're a newcomer to our church, that might sound exotic. Even if you go to our church, that still sounds exotic. But this is an international operation, guys. We pull from Switzerland in order to pull this thing off, and that's really true. But he came with a group of young adults from one of our great friend churches from Switzerland, leading a team to help us. They were team leaders. They were helping out in various places, and we're so grateful for your guys' participation and your energy. Thank God for your youth. Josh, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I think it was winter. My mom told me, hey, there's going to be a team that goes to VBS. And I, without her asking me, was like, yeah, I'll do it. I go for it. So I've been here for VBS before, and I know it's amazing. And so she asked me, would you like to go and be part of the team and lead that team? And I was like, yeah, I would love to, without even looking at my schedule. And so time goes by, I had to check, does it work as a schedule? And it worked perfectly. Like, I finished my school Friday when I flew here. So I actually skipped my last day of school, but I had my last exam Thursday afternoon. And so already that worked out really well. And the more the time went, I realized, oh, it's gonna cost me something to get here. I have to fly here. I have final exams in about a little more than a week. Like my classmates, they're at home learning and do their homework. I'm here hanging out with the kids and realized, oh, I have to invest something, but I realized that that's totally worth it. I would, no matter what, give it to be here with the kids. And so I came here and I was a team leader and we had a great time with our team, but I realized there was something missing. I was like, I'm not sure if I really was able to get the kids what they could get out of VBS. And so Thursday came, like Emily said, we asked kids to get on stage. And most of my team went on stage except for 2 boys, and they didn't go. And so after that we had team time, and in that team time I took a short conversation with each boy personally, just one-on-one, and asked them, hey, how was VBS? How was this morning? And then one boy was coming to me, he was not going on stage this morning. So I asked him, hey, you didn't go, not like, hey, you didn't go, what's wrong? But like, did you understand what we were talking about this morning? And he was like, I didn't really get it. And so I really had the chance to explain that kid, hey, what it means to invite God into your life. And so he was just opening up and telling, hey, I have struggles with that. I have a hard time in that situation. Just tell me really personal things from his life. And I could explain, hey, that's what the Lord is for. That's the reason we ask the Lord into our life. And he was like, that sounds kind of cool. And you were like, would you like to do it? And he was like, yeah, sure. And so I got the chance to pray with that boy. And I just felt these 5 to 10 minutes I was talking to that kid just filled me with such a big joy. And I realized that 5 minutes were the reason I flew all the way here from Switzerland. When I was talking to my roommate that night, and I just had that huge joy and that huge smile in my face. And I should have been exhausted by Thursday night, being team leader all week, but I wasn't tired. I just had that huge joy. And I really had to realize this week, we did some great stuff with the young adults. We went surfing, we had bonfire, all fun stuff. It was great. But I really realized there's a difference in the joy from the Lord to the joy from the world. And I could really realize that the joy of the Lord is my strength. And through that, it was so amazing being here and just to have that opportunity to be with those kids and spend time with them and just doing fun stuff together was such a great thing. And I realized, hey, I really want to search that joy in the things the Lord is doing, because it's lasting. It won't stop when I get back home. It's going to hold on for a longer time.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah. Isn't that cool? So Ivan got up here and said, oh man, here's the stuff that was going on with me. And then he got to share something with somebody else. And then God has this cascade of blessing through people. That's just another thing that we love experiencing, not just as like solo practitioners of a Christian faith, but people who are with each other. And we get to help each other. We get to pray for each other, friends, family. We get to do it together. And that's just something that it's so incredibly sweet. Well, we are going to transition now into our slideshow. And then right after the slideshow, I just want to alert you, that's when the kids are going to come in. And I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, okay? I'm going to ask you to think about your facial expressions. Okay? I know. But when the kids come in, please, I beg of you, put a smile on that face, would you? We really want to bless the kids as they are doing what Anna taught them to do, to bounce around and do all their hand motions. We just want to make them feel the best. We want this next part of our service to be about them, to be about building them up and celebrating what they learned, and just they're having a great time and making them feel really comfortable, because we're taller than them, so there's just baseline intimidation for like taller people than you. So we just want to make them feel comfortable and welcome, and like it's just the best thing. So we might clap, we might hoot and holler when they're done, and I just want to invite you to feel the freedom to do that. But without further ado, I think we're gonna kill the lights, maybe not. Maybe our projectors, yes. All right, roll the slideshow.
Waking up knowing there's a reason. All my dreams come alive. Life is for living. With you, I've made my decision. You lift me up, fill my eyes with wonder. Forever young in your love, this freedom's untainted. With you, no moment is wasted. Sun now bursting through the clouds, black and white, turn to color all around. All is new in the Savior I have found. This is living now. This is living now. Have you ever seen the wonder in the glimmer of first sight? As the eyes begin to open and the blindness meets the light. If you have soul, sing. I see the world in light. I see the world in wonder. I see the world in light, bursting in living color. I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. Have you ever seen the wonder in the air of second life? Having come out of the world. I see the world in light. I see the world in wonder. I see the world in light, bursting in living color. I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. I see the world in grace. I see the world in gospel. I see the world your way. My God is strong. He'll do anything big or small. Nothing is impossible for a super wonderful God. Every day I can know God is always there for me and my family. Every day I can know greater is the one who lives inside me. Super big, super strong, super wonderful God. Super big, super strong, super wonderful God. Our God is strong. He'll do anything big or small. Nothing is impossible for a super wonderful God. Every day I can know God is always there for me and my family. Yeah, every day I can know greater is the one
VBS 2019. Great job, kids. That was some pretty epic dancing. That was so fun. Thank you, guys. You are dismissed. You can go back out that way. That way. Kids, we're going to go that way. Parents, let's thank the kids. Good job, guys. Awesome job, guys. Oh my goodness. Oh, dude. I want to take dance lessons from some of the kids that I saw rocking out up here. I don't know those moves. Those are new moves. New moves. Oh, that was so fun. Isn't it awesome to see the kids just like getting into the music and just rocking out? Oh, man. You can also see the personality of different kids. You know, some kids are like, what's the motions? Like, I'm going to get this right. Like, super intense face, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't fun. We're getting this right here. We're doing, and other kids are just lost. It's, oh my gosh, so much fun. I hope this morning you all got a great taste of what VBS is like. But even more than that, we really hope you get a taste of what we know our God is like. And he's also fun. He's also full of bright colors and wonders and signs of his love. That's really our heartbeat for everyone that we come in contact with. So that concludes our service. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. For the regular attenders, they're like, wait, what? Because our service times are a short 5 hours normally, so it's... No, I'm kidding. It's they're usually about an hour and a half, you know, give or take a couple of minutes if I get on a roll. But we do have some refreshments. We have some coffee here and some refreshments in the foyer that we'd love to invite you to enjoy. You can hang out with your kids and talk and get to know some people. And otherwise, we just want to say thank you so much, seriously, for entrusting your kids with us for this week. It really was a privilege and a pleasure to do so. And we hope that they're clean now. Hopefully there's been some bad times since they've been here, because I don't know about your kids. My kids come back, you know, very filthy. So yeah, we hope that. God bless you guys. We'd love to have you come back to another Sunday morning next weekend or whenever you can make it. See you when we see you. Bye-bye.